In this episode, guys, we're giving away Lumineth Realm Lords. If you want to be in with a chance of winning that, make sure and watch the show. Be a subscriber, click like, and post a comment as well. And if you can, please give us a share on your Twitter or your Facebook. It always really helps us get the word out there. Right. It's time to get stuck in because the weekend starts now. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Weekender. Right, getting stuck in.
Hola.
Just a little announcement, guys. This week I have the vlog 3 of the dungeon display build out. So if you haven't had a chance to watch it, go and take a look. I have started the plans for the above ground bit, Jerry. Mm-hmm. So where the graveyard maybe comes down into a town, or maybe the whole thing is going to be a graveyard. I haven't decided yet. I'm still quite keen on doing it as a town, and there's been some lovely suggestions coming in.
Is this stuff that's in part 3 that you're talking about, or stuff beyond part 3?
No, this is in part 3. So I've been reading the comments on part 3 after I showed people some of the options and where I was taking it. So basically, I've rebuilt the dungeon now. And added more kind of narrative elements and more kind of specific room types to it.
Let's have a quick flick.
Yeah, have a flick through. I was playing with the idea of kind of like a black watch at the wall kind of a thing at the top, but I didn't like it. I love that terrain. But for this project, it's not the right fit.
There's your well.
Yep. I have your well, and I've built a shaft for your well, Lloyd, that goes all the way down.
Would you build it out of Pringles tube or something?
No. I've used more of this dungeon tile stuff to actually create a shaft going down through.
And I know it would be slightly probably against what you've kind of done with the sort of urban thing, but I was thinking as I was watching it how it would be pretty cool, because obviously you're talking about the idea of it being a graveyard on the top, for it actually being like a tomb system or something. If it had actually got like a wilderness top to it, so like trees and bushes and all that kind of thing, and then there is actually like a ruin that's the entrance down into the darkness below kind of thing. But
hold on, I hadn't seen this bit. This is cool.
Yeah. So at the very bottom, I'm
That's really
doing
cool.
a cavern, a mine. So I've got little mine carts and stuff like that, and you kind of break into a cavern. And what my hope is there, well, look, I'm playing with the idea of using fluorescent paints in there, and putting some UV light in to make it all fluoresce. Now, here's one for you, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry, as far as I can remember, the green plastic on Necrons fluoresces under UV light, doesn't it?
Did, as far as I remember, yes.
I think it does. I'll have to check it, because I think you can get wee crystals, green crystals and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm going to try to do is to get crystals that fluoresce and actually build them into the thing, and then get some UV light in there, and then get the whole thing to fluoresce. It'll be as camp as a row of tents, but I love it. You know, I haven't asked Andrea about that bit, but what I might do is put that on a separate switch, because one of the comments came back and said, yeah, that's going to be quite gaudy as a display in the living room. You might want to run that one past the wife. Well, how about no? But what I'll do is I will have a separate switch called the bling switch.
Well, even if you can't get because it was acrylic rod the Necrons used.
They don't use those anymore, by the way.
And they don't use them anymore,
range,
but there is fluorescent UV acrylic from Green Stuff World. So you could potentially cast, there must be crystal molds sitting around somewhere, or we just do some press molds. You could always cast your own if you can't find the relevant thing.
So anyway, I'm just thinking that there's something in there to make one section of that dungeon just go.
Yeah.
And definitely, I will have it on a separate switch. So there'll be a normally lit version, and then you flip the switch, and it goes into full Chemical Brothers trippy. And I'll stand in my living room and rave in front of it. So
I would expect nothing
we
less.
had a bit of a rave on the radio show on Wednesday night past. So if you haven't joined the Cult of Games, for God's sake, come and join our cult. And then you can come into the Discord and you can join me for our get-together. We have a weekly get-together, which is a full-on pirate radio station. And we had some proper techno rave going, man. It was awesome. It was a super night. I'm still struggling. I'm very tired from the late night that we had on the Wednesday. Anyway, back to my project. Some of the suggestions that have been coming back have been really grabbing at me. And one of them is that if I do the town on the top level, I want to try and find a way to cleanly cut through a building so that I can actually, you're looking into the tavern from the side.
That would be pretty cool.
Wouldn't that be nice? Because I currently have a tavern right at the very bottom near where the mine is. So you've got tavern, then there's some corridors, and then into a smithy's, and then into the mine. And people are saying, but why would you have a tavern in a dungeon? Well, you know, people that dig gotta drink, man. You know, it's but likewise, I can understand. You know, I can take the tavern out of there and make it into something else. You know, it's still very early days in this project, but there's got to be a tavern in this project. It can't not have a tavern. So how I'm going to do that? I'm not great with saws, but I don't know what to do other than some big ass band saw or something like that, you know, to be able to start to slice buildings in half, and have it like uber clean. I don't know, but it's been lovely. The other great suggestion came in is I have a smithy on the lowest level of it. And there's a little furnace there, and somebody's saying, look, I don't mean to be that dude, but where does the smoke go? And I thought, I love you. You're not being that dude.
You could put a little chimney that goes all the way up through and out the top. There you go.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little chimney that kind of crickety works its way all the way through, and then maybe comes up through a building and to the chimney at the top of the little building, and have it that way.
What are they burning? Are they burning wood?
Wonderful. No, you'd never burn wood in a furnace, Lloyd.
Oh, it's a furnace.
Yeah, it's goblins. It's goblins, man.
Because I was thinking if it was wood,
the goblins
you could have directed the smoke through somewhere that they could have smoked their fish as well.
Why do you always have the best ideas, Lloyd?
This is like a little room that's just smoking.
It's because Lloyd's not building it this time, so he can come up with all these ideas and make you do it. So
yeah, just saving himself the room.
All right, okay. You got your well. I'm going to do the fish room as well, Lloyd. I am going to do it. I'm going to find a way to do it. Lloyd, me and you need to sit down and play a Hero Quest again. We haven't done it since we were kids, but I miss playing that kind of stuff.
We got a painted set in the office, for goodness sakes.
So, yeah. I'm having a blast.
I did see online someone had done this. I don't know where the link is, but I did see online this really cool 3D printed version of Hero Quest someone was putting on YouTube's over the last week or two. Look really sweet.
Oh, cool.
I was talking about Hero Quest actually on the Wednesday night show. There's it looks like Hero Quest is returning. It looks like Restoration Games, the guy that did that Return to the Dark Tower.
Yeah, they've done loads of other old games and brought them back as well. It's really cool.
I think they've picked up the IP for the Hero Quest trademark, because they've registered Hero Quest Legacies. So we will have to wait and see. But I will say, and it'll be the only time I mention it in this episode, possibly, that if you are a Hero Quest fan, go get yourself a little resin 3D printer and hop on the Thingiverse, and you will never look back, because everything that you ever needed to do Hero Quest, and I mean everything, and all the stuff that you didn't know that you thought you needed, but you do need if you thought about it, is all sitting there on Thingiverse, including the ability to build a lovely 3D version of the board, which I will be doing. Well, Justin will be doing, and then
that makes more sense. Yeah,
because it's after Wednesday night's discussion on Hero Quest, I've realized some of the things of why I love that particular little game so much, and it was the fact that it was so well contained within the board. I went through a period where I thought that the board was restrictive. And I liked Warhammer Quest because of the tiles, and you could work out all sorts of shapes of dungeons and stuff. But understanding now kiddies and younger folk getting into it, it is the fact that it's contained within that board, and it is actually one of the pieces of magic of that game, and it deserves a really good version of the board being made at some point. But first things first, I've got a dungeon to hang on my wall, so I've got to make a good job of that. So yeah, 2 requests: 1, check out my dirty dungeon, and 2, join the Cult of Games, where on a Wednesday night you could check out my dirty dungeon. It's time, guys. It's time to hand it over for the most important part of the show. Prepare yourselves for Indie of the Week. Who picked it this week?
What a delight. I picked it this week.
You picked it this week, Jerry?
I picked it this week, yeah.
Okay. Well.
It hoved into view on my radar for one reason or another, with a couple of figures from a couple of different community groups. And I was like, you know what? We should really have a look at that, because it's Greebo Games, and they are very well known for fantasy football teams, of which they do a myriad. But in amongst them, there are some really fascinating little unique figures that can actually drop into other games as well. But because people maybe go, oh, it's Greebo, it's fantasy football, I don't play fantasy football, I don't play Blood Bowl, I don't care about it. They never go near it, so they miss out some not just unique sculpts, but actually spectacularly good sculpts. And then there's also some really cute, funsy things.
Well, let's see. Yeah.
So here we are, Greebo Games, Greebo-games.com.
Oh, goodness
yeah,
me.
There are a lot of companies that do fantasy football, Blood Bowl, but not Blood Bowl teams right now. But Greebo have some of the best, and they've really kind of like perfected it over the last sort of 2 or 3 years, I think now, really.
Yeah, I think they really have. And it's the likes of these things that you see that could find a home in other places. Now, you're going to start clicking on things, aren't you?
Until you tell me where you want to go, yeah.
Well, I can't see where I want to go because you're just clicking on things. You're a delight. Take me back to the homepage, Mr. Man. Right, so starting with, I suppose we start with the fantasy football teams, and they're more or less split into 2 different sections. So you've got I'm going to use the phrase realistic, despite the fact it's fantasy football. You've got the realistic teams, and these contain some absolutely stunning. He's away again.
Yeah.
back to where you had.
Stay on the team bundles. It's okay.
Stay on the team bundles. They have some absolutely fantastic figures in these ranges. So if you open up the Florence Knight and Humans top right there, this is one of the ones that drew my eye recently, because somebody was building a Bretonnian warband for Mordheim, and they pointed out the ogre that they have, and that's not a particularly great picture of them. I think you might be able to scroll down. If you go right to the bottom, a little arrow will appear, and just hammer down until you find them. But there's a couple of Bretonnian ogres with like head options on them, which are just missing some sort of massive, there we go, just missing a massive weapon to be put into one of those hands, and they're absolutely spot on for using in games of Mordheim or
that'd be
even
really cool. Yeah,
in other things,
isn't it?
I don't know where the other one lives. He must be in some sort of weird place because there's a running version of him as well, or running or charging. And it was this and like a wood elf tree woman or dryad. And once you look at them, you're going, actually, you can find room beyond fantasy football for a lot of these things. Their demons especially are very good. I mean, that's quite an unusual idea behind it anyway, where you've got a split shield.
They're using is like their gauntlets to punch people out the way and stuff.
Blockers and blitzers. So that's a really cute option, regardless. If you bring us back to the team bundles, and I want to have a look at specifically the Corneate version. Scroll down a wee bit. Well, the frogs are mental, but not them. More. Oh, I'm gonna have to open up a page of my own here so I can see without your scrolling.
Well, let's get some of these painted ones up in the meantime.
Yeah, I think one of the things that draws people to these in particular is that you get a lot of times people will make fantasy football teams, and the main focus of the miniatures, they'll often have things like the very American football-esque helmets and stuff on.
Yeah.
Like, I think, which is fine, obviously, because the whole point of them is that they're meant to be used for Blood Bowl. But you get some like these ones, for example, where they've tried to avoid that and try and give them slightly more natural-looking armor and weapons and stuff. And also not sculpt balls onto the miniatures, so they're not throwing balls and all that kind of thing. Well, you know what I mean.
Justin would love these then.
Yeah, they're pre-snipped, yeah. So they're sort of like ready to go kind of thing, which is really cool. Like, so you can see here that they've kind of, through the years, they've changed that up. So obviously here with these slightly older Norse ones, they do have that slightly more...
Yes, clearly he has no balls.
Yeah, they're closer to the GW Norse.
Yeah, they're closer to the Norse back in the day. Yeah.
If you go to the top row where you've got home pledge manager Cutie Mills Fantasy Football, Lloyd.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Go to Fantasy Football, get the drop down, and pull up the very first one there, Alastorian Chaos and Demons.
Oh.
And these are the gentlemen in question. The Bloodshed team and the Malice team are just two absolute stunners. But the Bloodshed in and of itself has a big guy who is obviously like a mini bloodthirster, but then they've also got sort of bloodletter scale. You've got this really unique team, and every model in those teams are unique. This is the other thing that we haven't really. The older stuff you may get replication like you would have got with Games Workshop.
Yeah.
In Blood Bowl team where, you know, you get lineman number 2 and you get 3 of him or whatever it happens to be, but every one of these is an individual unique sculpt that really, when you're playing a fantasy football game and you're limited to the amount of models, you really want it. You want those distinctions between them, and they're absolutely beautiful.
That's so cool.
Oh, I want these for my demon army.
Yeah, I thought you might.
Oh,
you could see why we traveled here today.
Oh, do they sell them as oh God?
Do they sell them as individuals? Beautiful. Is that what we're going to say?
Do they sell them as individuals? Do they?
I think there are individuals somewhere on the site. It's normally bundles and team deals.
That guy's so cool.
Because I assume that's normally what they're after.
He'd be good on a Hero Quest table as well.
Oh yeah.
But there are some of the big guys are available separately, and then they do monsters as well.
Which set of weird balls as well.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. You've got to have the separate weird balls. Well,
that's what happens when you don't shower.
If you go back to your fantasy football drop down, and
well done, we opened this other team, the Malice.
Oh well, yeah. Throw that up as well. I'm not looking at what you're doing at the moment.
That's slightly more beast man like. Oh yeah, wow, the troll in the background's amazing.
The Minotaur and troll.
Oh my god,
superb!
That is like the best big guy I have ever seen.
I think he may be some form of belligerent orc, because that's a hodgepodge, a mix.
Wow,
a mix of things that have all fallen under apparently Nurgle sway, or possibly Undivided. But they are a fine example of what we're going to have a look at next, which are their monsters.
which should be up on the top bar to your right, to the right-hand side of the bar you were looking at. Oh, you've got rid of them all now.
Yeah.
If you just go fancy football, monsters and big guys, that's the one we want. Yeah. And this actually has the other Bretonian ogre on it, so he was in here somewhere.
Ah, cool.
But these obviously wouldn't work in fantasy football. But when you've got things like an unusually Christmassy reindeer riding dwarf, I suppose that is. Very top
this
right.
Guy,
yeah.
Reindeer rider.
Yeah. And he's got his sack full of stuff. I'm going to say stuff because he does have severed heads, so you don't know what else is in there. Could be a human, could be a dwarf, difficult to tell. But regardless, it's a really nice feature piece that a lot of fantasy armies would go nuts for.
That's brilliant.
A chaos warrior or leading a load of dwarf Brock riders. I'm not sure. I think he might be a little.
Oh, they've even got a Demogorgon as well.
Oh, Horn Demon 1-4, €6.99 each.
Oh, have you found the individual listings?
I have.
There you go. That's the way that one works.
Is this your running one that you were talking about?
No, that's a fat ogre.
They go together quite simply as well.
There's a Bretonian slim ogre.
Maybe the next one? No.
I'm not sure where you're jumping through things at the moment. Oh, it'll be after this if it's following the main page. There you are.
Yeah.
So cool.
So this is the one I'd spotted the other day where somebody's going,
he's kicking.
You could do these.
That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah. Why would you not have those as a skirmishing band of Bretonian ogres?
I love the idea that he's not actually kicking a ball either. He's actually just about to kick someone's head in.
Put a Skaven in front of him or whatever you want. But they're an absolutely stunning range of monsters and figures for people, not just for fantasy football, but also for sort of wider fantasy gaming. And it really pays to go into these sort of companies and just have a real root around to see what weird and wacky things they have buried in the corners. Moving away from the sort of realistic, quote, if we go to Cutimals, this is a range of Blood Bowl teams that if you're looking to get your kid into playing,
these are adorable.
These are super adorable, absolutely beautiful models. I've got a friend who's painted up several of these, including like
Chaos Fluffers
stuff.
Wow!
But every one is a proxy for an actual Blood Bowl team. So
brilliant.
The Pinglings are actually a Norse team, and so they're Norse berserkers and things like that are all there, or big guys. They just have so much character on them.
These are amazing.
Yeah, and the fact that if you might have kids who aren't into the realistic gaming, as far as our gaming can be realistic, but being able to put down a unit of these instead of a unit of actual Chaos Warriors for a fantasy football game and go, do you fancy being the evil vampire bunnies, or do you fancy being the
weird mutant
brave
bunnies,
penguins, or whatever it happens to be?
There's a bunny inside a bunny in that one.
Well, that is the magic of pink and blue horrors, as you may remember from Zinch.
Yeah.
You don't punch them in the face; they just split, subdivide.
These
and the
are really fun.
range is just adorable. And there's a wealth that's just one team you're looking at, just one team. You can go down through. I think
it's like something from Rick and Morty or something.
Yeah. This is because they've got a set of orcs. So there's an orc Blood Bowl team, but they're actually pigs. They're called the porks.
Oh,
and they are, again, there's your black orcs are obviously the big boars.
The big boars, yeah.
And then you've got the other regular sort of pink skins / green skins to fill in the rest of your colours. They're just terrific. And if you're into just painting something up for the sake of painting something up, this range I think is really unique and cute. The Bunny Legion they have listed as well are more animals done in this. Well, they're all bunnies, but they're not specifically for fantasy football. They're just fun things to paint.
Is that in here?
No.
If you scroll up, you'll see they're under the Cutimals, I think.
Yeah.
I'm in the Cutimals.
If you go up to the drop-down menu at the top.
Yeah. you just want that's just that.
Oh, or on the side, there you go, Bunny Legion on
Bunny Legion.
on the left hand side.
Yeah. So the Bunny Legion are just fun things to paint. Be they Children of the Corn or Village of the Damned, that you will spot most of your favorite horror in here. So you've got it. You've got Ash there as the clerk with his chainsaw vest and shotgun. These are just whimsical bits of fluff to just go, yeah, I'm just going to pick these up because why would I not have a range of these sitting on my shelf? And if you want to play a game with them, there's plenty of games you could play. And you play Walking Dead using bunnymals instead of actual walkers.
A Bunado.
Yeah. Instead of Sharknado. It's perfectly sensible to me. I just love the fact that this company's gone, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go nuts.
I absolutely love that bear team. That's so cool. I want that so bad.
I think that one comes with...
Oh.
I think that one comes with this. There's a little Saint Bernard as well.
Really?
Which if you're playing Blood Bowl, obviously you need things like...
Yeah, you could use it as your medic, team medic,
cheerleaders and team coaches and that sort of thing. And they've got all of those. The seal pup is actually the ball for them. That's what they're throwing around the place.
That is hilarious. I love that.
He does not seem to be happy. But, so yeah, it's a magical world of animals and massive demons and anywhere in between. It's just constantly expanding as well. And I would have thought a long time ago that you hit a limit with what you can do, and they had been just producing the realistic Blood Bowl teams for a while, and then they started going into these whimsical little cute, what do the kids call it, chibi ones.
Chibi-esque stuff. Yeah.
And from there they've just sort of really expanded, so you can have your Japanese or Asian themed goblin team, or you can have your more Western Renaissance goblin team, or you can have your cutesy animal version of your goblin team.
They tend to do a lot of their stuff through Kickstarter as well, don't they? They launch their products through Kickstarter and then come and release it via retail. So a lot of stuff does eventually appear on the web store, which is good.
Well, I mean, the Cutimals was a Kickstarter end of last year, and it's already up. So they've been... Is that one of the Halloween special ones?
Grandma the Wolf, yeah. That's brilliant.
Yeah, they just sit there. They occupy their little niche in the corner, and anytime they do anything like a big sale or a Kickstarter, they're always well backed. So they obviously have their supporters in the community. But just seeing their ideas for things, I think it's just really nice.
Oh, I like him.
Unique.
They're the kind of cool character models that you could use to lead your like fantasy armies and that kind of thing in like various games, and just be like, oh, where'd you get that character model from?
Look at that. Greebo, this is incredible.
And they've, as I was saying, they've really stepped up the sculpting quality since when they first came out. It's crazy good.
Oh, very much so. I don't know how much of it is an in-house design team or if they have several.
Do that guy there, the one in the middle. Him
sort of bowing with his Batman cape open. Oh no, that's actually his fingers. He's mid-transformation. Yeah. They're definitely a company to keep an eye on, because I think they're starting to expand more and more beyond the remit of just the fantasy football.
Into
these more esoteric bits and pieces. And it's fascinating to watch.
Suddenly, I really want to buy a Norse bear team and some orcs for no particular reason.
Yeah, you should definitely do that. You should definitely have a look at the penglings.
I'm bookmarking the hell out of demons. GreeboGames.com. Greebo, you have astounded us this week. Absolutely astounded us. Incredible indie of the week. Absolutely incredible. I don't know. I'm speechless. I'm I'm trying to just press buy here on these demons. It's my demon army has sat for a while because I'd been kind of running out of inspiration a little bit. Because models wise, I only want to go with models that look like the front cover of Number of the Beast from Iron Maiden. So I don't want a pile of sexy demons, or I don't want a pile of disease and petulous demons because, well, it's 2020. There's enough of them running around. I just want Iron Maiden demons. and I'd been running out of inspiration. Greebo, you have gave me the inspiration I need because you do amazing Iron Maiden demons.
Yeah, there was a couple of Eddie-looking guys in there.
Oh, they've got demon dogs in there as well, Lloydie. Well, at least I'm going to turn them into demon dogs. It's that army has just been revived because of you guys. Right, that is your indie of the week.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
So the first sort of big, massive bit of news, effectively, came from both Atomic Mass Games and also Fantasy Flight Games, which we'll get into later, because there is a lot to get through. But first of all, we have some stuff from Atomic Mass, and that is that Marvel Crisis Protocol is going to be visited by the most awaited group of superheroes and mutants, there's a clue, for the past couple of years. And that is, we're actually going to be getting the X-Men and the Brotherhood of the Mutants in Marvel Crisis Protocol. And they are looking pretty swish.
Hey!
So
Okay.
these are long-awaited, and they're going to be breaking down into a couple of different sets that will give you access to Wolverine, Cyclops, Beast, and Storm from Xavier's Home for Mutants. Or Gifted Individuals, sorry. And then on the other side of things, you've got Magneto, Mystique, Toad, and Sabretooth. Obviously, because this is Marvel Crisis Protocol, you can mix and match things however you want to create your own superheroes or supervillain teams. But these are looking very, very cool indeed. A couple of these sets actually have alternative ways for you to put them together as well. So, for example, with Beast there, you can either have him reading his book with his glasses on, or you can have him sort of snarling and ready to attack somebody. And with Wolverine, you can either have him with his mask on or his mask off. And I'm sure there's going to be a few other bits and pieces and details in there as well for the rest of the characters too. Another thing that sort of was added into the mix when it came to this preview was obviously we get a little bit of cool terrain in the background. I'm sure we're going to get some new stuff on that front. Maybe we'll even get Xavier's mansion. That would be pretty awesome indeed. And as well as that, there was a teaser at the end of the video where they had a little bit of a surprise appearance from the one and only Deadpool with a little bit of a flash of his logo, which is very cool.
Let's spoil it for everyone. Or maybe I'm past it already.
No, it's quite literally in the last
literally
couple of
just a
seconds.
flash.
Yeah.
So I was hoping for the Kool-Aid guy.
There we go.
Literally, that is a flash, isn't it?
And the awesome thing about this trailer is that if anybody remembers the 90s TV show, the cartoon series, they tried to sort of ape that in the design of it, and it's really cool. So everyone now hearing about that is sort of hearing the theme tune in the back of their head now, which is good. So,
which is important. I still want the Kool-Aid. You know the oh yeah, he smashes through walls.
Yeah,
he is a Marvel comic book character.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
He had a Marvel comic run in the 80s.
Oh wow, cool.
So at some point in Marvel Crisis Protocol, I just want a giant glass Kool-Aid guy crashing through walls. Oh yeah.
Super release. Right, and what about Fantasy Flight then, Ben? What did they come out with?
So quickly on the Atomic Mass front, for that sort of set of releases, they should, fingers crossed, be coming out in Q4 of 2020. So
very soon.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. For Fantasy Flight Games, oh boy, do we have a lot of stuff to go through. So we'll start with the miniatures side of things. Okay, so if you open up the page, Lloyd, we can scroll through this one at a time and go through all these announcements. So I painstakingly screenshotted all the bits from this particular run through. Yeah, so that's the in-flight report, which is about 40 minutes long. You can watch through that to get all the extra details and stuff if you want to. But I'm just going to sort of scroll through what we've got coming up. So there's some more stuff for X-Wing, which is obviously into its second edition. We've got some new ships for both the Galactic Republic and the Rebels, and also stuff for the Clone Wars period as well. One of the cool things, and it's something from this particular version of the TIE, is that actually some of them have little tiny movable parts on it, and everybody knows that when you've got a little tiny toy on the tabletop, you want to have a little tiny movable part that you can move around. In this case, it's the little gun, because that can fire to the front and the back. So there you go. Taken from the Solo movie, apparently, that was.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so as you can see, just scroll to these. You don't have to open all of them, Lloyd. There are quite a few of them. There's like 24 of these to go through.
What?
not just for X-Wing, but just pictures in general. But yeah, so they've been looking back to do stuff for the Clone Wars era and also stuff to do with the new films as well. So this is the that was the Heralds of Hope expansion.
Yeah.
So that's the new stuff from sort of like the Resistance period. So it's all the different fighter pilots that will be helping to try and stave off the First Order and that kind of thing, which is pretty awesome. And maybe we'll see them looking towards doing some more
Obi-Wan's
stuff.
ship there, isn't it?
Well, that's the sort of general Jedi starfighter with its interlocking ring that can also be used for other ships as well, which is pretty cool. So that can be taken off and moved around to the battlefield, and it has its objective uses and that kind of thing as well.
The ring? You can actually move your ring around the battlefield.
You can slot the ship out of it, sit it into the flight standard, then move the ring to different places if you need to.
And then I can slot something else into the ring, yeah?
You can slot more stuff into your ring if you want to, as much as you can fit in, basically. So, yeah.
Fantasy Flight, you are on fire.
And as I say, they've got some more stuff for the droids as well. So all the stuff for the Separatist Alliance. They've got the Tri-Fighters and that kind of thing that people will be familiar with if you've played the likes of Battlefront 2 and all those kind of games too. And of course, seen the movies and the TV shows. On the other side of things, Star Wars Armada, which is their fleet-based game, is going back to the prequels as well.
Cool.
And they're changing things up a little bit with this one. So instead of creating a large starter set which includes both factions in it, they're instead going to break it down into 2 starter faction boxes, which include all of the ships you need in order to play as either the Separatist Alliance or as the Galactic Republic. These are also some of the additional, that's the starter packages you can see there. They come with gubbins and all sorts, so you've got rulers and that kind of thing too. And then they also have accompanying squadron expansion packs or fighter squadron packs, which allow you to then add even more stuff into the mix when it comes to building your armadas. And they'll obviously be the kind of fighters that you'll use when you're trying to create larger forces to use in tournaments and that kind of thing too, which is pretty awesome. I'm a big fan of those kind of big Republic cruisers that are sort of like the forerunners to the precursors to the Star Destroyers. They're very, very cool. It's awesome to see those. So that's Star Wars Armada, which is very cool. Following on from that, some more stuff for Star Wars Legion. It was kind of sort of teased already, and kind of people knew it was coming, but we're going to get a new set for Anakin Skywalker, who comes in 2 poses. You'll be able to see the other pose in the videos, but this is a nice colorized version of him from the renders, which is pretty cool. He's got some really neat rules in there where he gets slightly more stronger throughout the game, and he'll gain more force powers as he does. But then that kind of has like an offset to his other abilities and things, which is really cool. So some nice stuff there on that front for those people that want to command the Republic. And then you've also got Darth Maul, who also comes with some probe droids, if anyone remembers those from Episode 1, with his dual lightsaber. And once again, he also comes in a couple of different varieties of sculpts, which you can see in the video. And he actually has sculpted detail onto his face, so that if you want to try and paint the tattoo marks on it, they've already done that for you, so you can just do the lines and stuff. So
happy days. So you can use a little bit of the capillary action.
Exactly, to try and get that to work. Yeah.
Yes.
You've also got some additional personnel on the way, so some specialist sets. So anyone, again, who is a big fan of things like the Clone Wars TV series and stuff will know these guys. So these are an additional set of different droids you can use in your Separatist army. So you've got a droid commander, and then you've got a whole bunch of additional sets in there, kind of following the sort of path that they did with the original set of stuff. So you've got things like a medic and an engineer to help with vehicles and a scout and all that kind of thing too.
And a
low-cost... Sorry?
I would have to just take that droid and do the whole Saturday night pose.
That's your droid commander.
The droid leader, yeah. But yeah, so these are all sort of like low-cost sort of commander and sort of operative options for you to throw into your forces if you want to try and do something without the use of all the big characters and that kind of thing. Same thing goes for the Republic Separatists, Republic Specialists as well. They get their own unique clone commanders. They come with either the helmeted versions or the unhelmeted versions if you want to try and use some special characters and that kind of thing too, which is pretty cool. And you've even got someone with a little hollow projector in his hand. How awesome is that? That's really cool. Fantastic. And a big thing they did say is that they've been really pushing up the quality of the sculpts. Now they're moving away from the sort of bags of bits and instead bringing things together into like sprues and stuff now, which is pretty cool. So things are stepping up a little bit.
Good. Glad to see it. That'll also hopefully bring down the cost of the cost and the time that it takes. Clipping out all these bags of bits just adds time. Chucking sprues into the boxes is a lot more efficient. So I'm
efficient for them, bringing down the cost.
Yeah. Anything that can speed up their ability to deliver would.
It also means that you can take more care, because like I did have one where it been snipped and it like took the whole kneecap off a guy because it just been snipped.
Mm-hmm.
But as well as all the miniature stuff, there was also a whole bunch of things for their board and card games and role-playing games as well. We'll quickly go through these and just sort of spin through it all. So, additional new packs and expansions for Arkham Horror. So if you like the co-op side of things, there's going to be a new wave, a new cycle of those to go through, a whole bunch of new adventures, and then a big multiplayer one with War of the Outer Gods. There's a new cycle of cards for Legends of the Five Rings as well, which is getting a selection of new stuff there. They go into more detail about exactly what's in these packs in the video if you want to go and watch that. And this is going to be the final bit of role-playing content that FFG themselves put out as part of their company. It is going to be moving over to, I believe, a company called Edge in the future, who are going to be working on their RPG stuff for the foreseeable. But that's the last sort of book that they're going to be doing in-house. Mm-hmm. For those people that want to play more Marvel stuff, they've also got 4 new hero packs announced during the announcements this week. So you've got Ant-Man and the Wasp, who come with suitably big and small cards, which is just a fun little addition, because obviously it makes sense. And then you've also got Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch there too, so some more heroes to throw to the mix at that side. And also a new big box expansion, which will throw you Galaxy's Most Wanted, Groot and Rocket Raccoon into the mix, play some intergalactic awesome battles and all sorts of stuff in the future against some very strange and different foes. Keyforge is getting even more unique, if that could possibly be a thing. It isn't grammatically, but it is now. And this is going to be a new starter set, a deluxe box and Archon decks for that. It introduces an entirely new faction into the game, which obviously means that the combinations so far are just ridiculously in the billions or trillions or something by now. They have their own new mechanics when it comes to the tide and sort of like and how that works in the game. Again, you can check out the video if you want to learn more about that. There's a lot of stuff. A new game for the X-Men fans. If you like Yahtzee, I guess these seem to be like the basic mechanics of this. It's like a Yahtzee-esque style game where you're rolling dice. It's a dice cooperative-based board game where you're playing as the members of the X-Men going up against the Brotherhood of Mutants and stuff like that. Very cool little game. Going to be finding out more about that in the weeks to come. They just sort of gave a little bit of a tease to that. If you thought that Twilight Imperium was big, then it's getting even bigger. So this is all the stuff that they didn't get into the last edition of the game that they're now putting into another massive big box. As you can see, it's $100 for you to use in your games of Twilight Imperium in 4th edition. So if you wanted a game that doesn't just take 2 days, but 3 days to play, then now you have another option on that front.
Yeah.
They're obviously hoping that the virus lockdown runs on for a bit longer.
Exactly.
Yes, it would suit them for that to happen.
For those people who are fans of Journey to Middle-earth, they're going to be doing a new digital-only expansion through the app, because that's how the game runs, which will take you to Dale to deal with Bard and also the sort of the aftermath of Smaug and the reclaiming of the mountain. And also this villain pack, which will add in miniatures for a lot of the different characters within the stories that they've told so far. So you've got some new options of villains for you to fight in either the basic mode of the game, which is a little bit harder, or their adventure mode, which is meant for families to try and enjoy as well, which is really cool. Another important note when it comes to Lord of the Rings, before we move on to that image, is they did hint that war is coming to Middle-earth. What that means, I don't know. A lot of people are speculating that maybe FFG are going to be doing a miniatures game based within Middle-earth. They do have the book rights, whereas Games Workshop have the film rights. So potentially we're going to be seeing something along the lines of Star Wars Legion, maybe sort of bringing some things they learned from Rune Wars to create their own new licensed fantasy property. Could be a card game, could be a board game, don't know. But it was certainly a very interesting tease for them to throw into the mix and to include the word war in there as well, which is very cool.
The timing's good as well, because have we not got a TV series on the way?
Amazon TV series based on the Silmarillion. Should be coming out probably next year or the year after. So it would make sense for them to do that. And as I say, they've got the book rights, so they have access to a hell of a lot more than Games Workshop do, which is quite interesting. So
they have said they are announcing a new game this weekend, and then there's also going to be a playthrough of a new game.
Oh,
as part of their
it might be the X-Men thing, but it might be something else.
Could be X. Yeah, nobody knows whether those two things are connected. So whether the announcement and the playthrough are of the same thing, or if they're two separate games. But I suppose by the time Sunday rolls around, we'll know exactly what way they're breaking it all down.
But yeah, it will be very interesting to see what they do with that. And obviously, they've been doing a really nice job on the sculpts for Journeys in Middle-earth. So they try and take that and what they've learned from Legion and stuff and bring that into a larger game. That could be very cool to see. A Song of Ice and Fire has done a pretty good job from Simon doing that kind of fantasy mass battle thing and trying to make it accessible. And I think FFG could probably do something similar to that. But the final little bit of a sort of hint as to what was coming, and I'm sure we're going to learn a lot more about it over the weekend, was that they are bringing back Descent, the big badass dungeon delver. They kind of teased this at the end of the live stream where they were like, oh, are we off? And they made a joke of it and then showed the massive box. As you can see, it's as big as this man's chest, which is insane. It is also pretty deep, so I'd imagine we're going to get some absolutely huge monsters in there as well, which would be very cool to see. Descent is a game which I think a lot of people have played, really enjoyed. It's been really nice seeing its sort of evolution into being more of a co-op game against the app. I would imagine that's going to be kind of what they're going to do here. Maybe they'll throw in some stuff for it to be a 1 versus many as well. That could be cool. But Descent coming back, I'm sure will make a lot of people very, very happy. And therewith endeth the FFG amazing mass of craziness. So,
well played.
Ooh, did you plug some sort of SSD into your head or something, Ben? Did you spit all that back out?
The FFG SSD, Lloyd.
Well, I watched it not once but twice so that I could go and do all the screenshots as well. So there we go. Right.
9th edition starter sets just got announced this week.
Yeah, so
we have the 3, which we were expecting: the little one, the medium-sized one, and the big one.
Yes. So this follows on from Indomitus, obviously, and this is going to be a new set of 3, as Warren was just saying there. So you've got the Recruit set, which comes with 2 squads of infantry and 2 leader characters, just to be a sort of like a little bit of a taster for the world of Warhammer 40,000. So a pretty easy, quick and easy one to dive into. They've done the same thing for 8th edition, as we know.
Yes,
and they also did it for Age of Sigmar as well, which was a pretty good idea, I think.
It seems a bit weird to just have one. Is this a bit of cardboard folded up?
It's the back of the box.
The back of the box.
Oh, it's the back of the box, but it's a bit lonely looking.
Oh, I think actually it's an insert in the box.
Well, I think it's either the back of the box that everything would sit in, or it's something inside it that you pull out, I think. But,
because when we look at the Infinity starter sets that they release, and there's multiple bits and pieces like that.
Yeah,
but wait till you see where do you see where this goes from here? This is the very
that's the basic one.
This is the very cheap and cheerful. Here's a little taste of it.
Then you've got the Elite set, which is the next one up, which does more or less the same kind of thing. Comes with a few additional units based on the Recruit one, so it kind of like built onto it with some elite options, which is very cool. And obviously some kind of like fast attack stuff in there too. Each of the actual rules inserts, I believe, for each of these goes into slightly more detail as well, which is kind of interesting. So it takes you a little bit further through the rules, which is pretty cool. So you've got 2 different like booklets. And then there's the Command Edition, which comes with 2 effectively starter armies for both the Necrons and the Space Marines. You get the rules book. So it'll be the rule book without the fluff, as far as I know. You also get that Getting Started book, which will lead you to a whole bunch of different scenarios. And you get that, as of yet, unreleased plastic terrain, which is going to be included.
Holy smokes.
So, yeah. And you could assume that this is going to be coming in sort of around the sort of £20 to £30 mark for the Recruit, probably around 50 for the Elite box, looking up towards maybe sort of 70 maybe for the Command box, maybe a bit more. We'll see.
Go back to that Command box. That's the best starter set they've ever done. I'm trying to. I can't think of a starter set that had terrain as well produced as that.
As far as I can remember, apart from
40K.
maybe, yeah.
There's been cool stuff There's enough cool stuff.
Yeah, but that's Warcry. That's all different stuff. But as a long-term starter set now, that's fantabulous.
Well, because it effectively gives you everything you need to play in that regard. Because you've got the mat, you've got the terrain, you've got the rules, you've got the miniatures, you've got all the dice and the rulers and that kind of thing. Which
you need to be careful what you ask your parents for, though, because if you're looking at this going, I'll have that. And then they
Can I have the starter set, please, Mummy?
walking with that, be very disappointed. But it seems to jump so quickly because, like, we've got one cardboard building here, possibly two or a bigger one.
Two there, or just a larger one.
No, I think it's just one big one. Yeah.
I just thought it'd be nice if it just been like two separate cardboard buildings or something, because it very quickly jumps from that to epicness of loads of stuff. There doesn't seem to be much of a mid-ground.
That's just extraordinary.
Yeah. They also, as we're seeing in that final picture as well, they talked about the Blade Guard veterans, which are included in Indomitus. They're not in any of these sets, but they're going to be included as part of their own multi-part plastic set, which allows you to make effectively the new honor guard of the Space Marines for the Primaris to use in your games. And it's pretty cool.
Whoa.
Yep. That was someone running out to go and get a copy of Indomitus before. Following on from that, moving to the next story.
Was there anything cool in the video, though? Or is
there's some cool music and some graphics, if you want to look at those.
Just want to check it out, see if we could get some close-ups. This the actual minis then?
Yeah, so they're the miniatures that you'll get within each of the sets,
So these guys here in the background, they were cool.
As I say, it's nothing that's not been in Indomitus. So if you bought Indomitus, you effectively got all of this stuff early before anyone else could, kind of thing, which is cool. So, and obviously a few little bits and pieces that are not going to see the light of day for at least a couple of months when we start to see more of the characters come through and that kind of thing as well. And obviously the rules. But yeah.
Sweet.
But that leads us into the next news story, which is also 40K related because it came on the launch weekend, which was last Saturday. And that was that we're going to get new codexes, a new tank, tanks, I guess you'd say, and also a little bit of a preview as to what's coming in the future. The first of these was the announcement of Codex Necrons and Codex Space Marines, which obviously makes sense. Codex Necrons is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to have all the new stuff for the Necrons in it. For the Space Marines, as they're slightly more sort of detailed, I guess you'd say, within the world of Warhammer 40,000, you're going to get rules for White Scars, Imperial Fists, Iron Hands, Ultramarines, Salamanders, Raven Guard, and the Black Templars, in brackets, with Psychic Awakening rules, if you have them already, within that book. And it'll also give you the basis to create effectively your own chapters and that kind of thing, which is really awesome. And also have basic rules for a lot of the other, like slightly more well-known chapters within the Warhammer 40,000 world. But if you want to play the Dark Angels, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, or the Death Watch, they obviously are going to get an update in the future with their own codexes. Everything will still be okay at the moment, but then they're going to get their own codexes later on down the line to make them more detailed, which makes sense. We also got a reveal of a new vehicle. So the Predator is probably one of the most well-loved vehicles within the Space Marine arsenal, I think you'd say, next to the Rhino. And this is the new Primaris variant of it, called the Gladiator. And it comes in 3 different weapon configurations, either the Lancer, the Reaper, or the Valiant, depending on what kind of enemies you want to destroy and how many magnets you have. And it is obviously one of their sort of anti-grav tech vehicles that they've been throwing into the mix as well. We thought maybe they'd be returning to wheels because we saw those awesome bikes, but no, anti-grav plates are the way forward, crunching things underneath them and stuff.
Somebody will do a conversion kit where we can put tracks back on this thing.
Yeah, I quite like the silhouette of it, but then again, it's the silhouette of the Predator, just with a few bits and pieces bolted onto it, which is very cool. It's just missing the tracks, basically, which I think would be the cool thing for a lot of people. But yeah. This also led to a updated look at the new monolith. So the monolith has been around for donkey's years, and it is now getting an upgraded version of itself, which includes that kind of outer shell, which looks like a ruin, and then you've got the inside bit of it, which is a little bit more like the Necron tech.
I'm hoping it's good because the monolith, when you get up close to it, is very toy-like.
Yeah,
it is.
Model.
Yes.
It's rather dull, actually, as a model. So.
When you stick it together, the insides look like, the way you get toys and there's just no detail on the inside. Yeah. It's just hollowed and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, as you can see, this one does have those different layers of detail to it, which I think is really nice. And they've also done some really cool stuff with the gate as well. So you've got the Necrons stepping out of it, which I think is really cool. A lot of people were a bit weirded out by the strange ball in the middle of the top, which looked a bit odd, and it could possibly be a bit of a weird thing to paint. But otherwise, I think it looks like quite a cool new miniature for them to have thrown in and sort of updated for the Necrons, which is pretty cool. And then finally, there was a video, which you can see there. And it's only short, so you can probably just watch it as I'm talking. And this was a look ahead to what's coming for Warhammer 40,000 in the miniatures sphere. So we've got a couple of little sneaky peeks of what's coming. So there's some Nurgle stuff, a little bit of Drukhari, or Dark Eldar, some Adeptus Mechanicus. And then, did you see that there? Did you see that back? Did you see that flash of green?
What?
Yeah, but keep going back. Look,
Oh,
that looks like a new orc. A new orc with a shooter and a chopper. Could we be seeing finally a new plastic kit for the orcs? It's been wanted for many, many years, and hopefully it will be coming soon. So yeah, and also the Palatine, who is a new lower-ranking character for the Adepta Sororitas that you can throw to the mix if you don't want to have canonesses leading your force across the table. So pretty good for things like Kill Team and that kind of thing too. It's very cool. A nice new model for the Sister Battle, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, that was everything on the 40k front, which has been quite a lot as well. Not quite as much as FFG, but still quite a lot. So, yeah.
Right. What else has been happening in the world, Ben?
Okay, so now we can relax and sit back into our chairs, engage grognard mode, and think of the old days, and go to the smaller scale of 15 mil with the fact that Plastic Soldier Company have now released the ultracast versions of Corvus Belli's old early Imperial Romans and Gauls for use in Mortem et Gloriam as 2 new starter armies.
So early Imperial took place after late Republic.
Correct.
If you say so. Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be 2 complete armies based on the old metal sculpts by Corvus Belli that were then bought up by Plastic Soldier to sell as part of their range.
So they're licensed to Plastic Soldier.
That's the one. Yeah, sorry.
Because Scotia Grendel bought them. So you can still get the metals if you want the metals.
Oh, cool.
Or
that's good.
You can get the ultracast versions for Meg, and it works out half the price, more or less. So it's a very cheap way of getting into it.
To go with the Plastic Soldier route method, yeah. Well, that's my Roman army sorted now, boys.
Well, yeah, basically, yeah. It comes with a whole bunch of stuff in there. You get command figures, you get troops, your infantry, you get cavalry, and that kind of thing too. And as a lot of people probably know from when Corvus Belli were doing this many, many years ago now, it's really good, detailed stuff. Looks really nice. You can tell the definition between faces and armor and different parts of the armor as well on the bodies, which I think is really key with these small models. The shields and the weapons look big and chunky, so you get an immediate good sort of like battlefield view of what's happening on the tabletop. Those are my spearmen, that's my cavalry, etc., etc. So it's really cool. So yeah, some good stuff coming out of Plastic Soldier, and obviously with the help of Corvus Belli as well. It's really cool.
Now, is Gladiator take place within the Imperial?
Yes.
Is it early Imperial?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I could do Gladiator with that.
Very much so. Well, those are Gauls rather than Germans. But you could get away with it just with
See, that's like me confusing a Frenchman for a German man.
For a German, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's okay. I think I could get away with it.
A million miles away from it.
They're all basically the same anyway.
You could do the opening scene to Gladiator then.
In hairstyle and that sort of thing, and weaponry.
So I could do the opening scene to Gladiator, but set in Paris, and the baddies are
Asterix and Obelix.
No, this could be me. This could be me finally. I've been waiting for a 15 mil Roman opportunity.
A lot of people have been waiting for those, so it's good to see them finally coming out, which is very cool.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so next little bit of news comes from the guys at Cromlech. So just a little bit of an update of what they're doing right now and sort of moving into August. They are putting together what they've called their Summer Kit Bash Challenge. or contest.
Mm-hmm.
So this is effectively a way for you to take anything from their range. It could be full miniatures, could be bits. They have a rather extensive bits collection, as I'm sure you probably know if you know Cromlech, and bash it together with whatever models you want, and then either share it with them via email or via social media with the hashtag, which you would find in the link below. And it's right there as well. Kit Bash Cromlech. There we go. Didn't even have to do that. So yeah, you can use that hashtag to share it, and you could win yourself some really awesome models from their upcoming releases. They're doing a thing where, based on the number of entries they get, there'll be more prizes to give away.
So this is why there's stretch goals, because I looked at this earlier and I didn't understand that.
So as you can see, if you've got 100 hashtags, they'll have one winner, and it goes up and up and up. For the different numbers that they have, which is pretty cool. And the prizes themselves may just be based on something that's happening in October, or should I say Orktober.
October, yeah.
And if you go back to the news story there, Lloyd, and scroll down to that video, this was a first look at one of the miniatures that they're going to be getting as part of Orktober, the Orc Freak. So, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't think that goblin's going to be able to hold him back.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah.
Cromlech have always done really awesome space orcs, for want of a better phrase, and it'll be very cool to see what else they do in October. So,
orcs in the world come from Cromlech. There is no doubt about this.
I've heard tales of rather big things coming our way. So, yeah.
I believe so. I've heard of some big stuff. So yeah, stay tuned to these guys. It's they're about to rock your world in October. And then finally, Ben, have we one last piece of news?
Yes, so we have one final bit of news going back to the world of historicals, and strangely enough, 15 mil again. It's almost like all historicals should be done in 15 mil, shouldn't they, Warren? So,
isn't it just?
And this is the pre-orders for the D-Day Waffen SS for use in your games of Flames of War. The pre-orders are focusing on a release of August. So pre-orders are up now. You'll be able to get yourself the new book, which includes all of the sort of detail and background and lore on the Waffen SS and their sort of return to sort of Normandy after fighting out in the east and coming back to sort of help try and keep the Allies away from Paris and that kind of thing. So these elite fighters who are quite hardened now getting stuck into these fresh invaders coming over the channel. You'll also get a new Waffen SS starter force, which is, as you can see there, comes with a bunch of armor, all again very elite, very veteran troops, which is very cool. And they'll be obviously trying to keep them off the beaches and that kind of thing too. They're also going to be working on some new sets of elite infantry and vehicles as well coming out through August. So all of these different kits are going to be coming out over the next few weeks. We'll continue to put out news stories every Friday, which seems to be the release day for all these things. So if you're interested in the Waffen SS, make sure to check out the website, because we always have a new story up talking about what's coming out and what you should look forward to. And you can always follow it through and check it all out over there. And of course on store.ontabletop.com. Ding.
Yes,
so
absolutely. And it's definitely worth checking out if you're into your historicals and you haven't had a look at the plastics and stuff that are coming out of Battlefront. They're incredible. I'm neck deep at the moment in their plastics range from Team Yankee. I'm spending a lot of time with working on bits and pieces from their Team Yankee range, and I am just in love, in absolute love. They're really, really fun to put together, and actually really fun to paint as well. But I'll be talking about that in the XLVS show tomorrow. I'll be showing off a little bit of that. Right, that's your lot for the news. We'll be right back with our Kickstarters.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to come back for some Kickstarters. The first of these comes from the rather talented group at Antimatter Games, who some folks may know create both Deep Wars and Shadow Sea, which are two slightly strange, almost fantasy, historically based kind of weird stuff, miniatures games which you can play under the water or in sort of underground realms. It's very,
in the
very
bath.
cool.
Ben?
You can play it in the bath if you wanted to. Yeah. If you get your duckies in the row, you can, and your tugboats, you can go and play it in the bath. But yes, so this is called the Rogues Gallery, and this is a new set of 3D printable, so STL file based Kickstarter models for you to use in Deep Wars and Shadow Sea, but you could also use them in any other game that you want beyond their sort of Uncharted Realms collection. There's a whole bunch of really cool stuff in here, which is very sort of old school classic fantasy. So you've got things like a really badass sort of take on Conan the Barbarian, but for their sort of Deep Wars world. Then you've got stuff that's a little bit slightly more weird, a bit more Renaissance, a bit more Warhammery, and that sort of style bought into. These are some of just the prototypes and stuff that they've been working on and showing off and painting, which I look fantastic. All comes pre-supported. So yeah, as you can see, really cool miniatures. You've got a vampire witch. Who would not want one of those? Corbran. What a fantastic name. The Barbarian Lord. The Manticore of Samarkand. Some fantastic monsters as well. And as well as the options that they've created for both this new Kickstarter, they've also been throwing in a bunch of options from some of their previous projects as well. Because Antimatter, obviously they make those 2 games, and they bring a lot of stuff to retail. But over the last sort of, I guess you'd say half a year or so, they've been looking more at this kind of 3D printing STL file delivery system, by either doing it through Kickstarters or doing it through other ventures and that kind of thing, looking towards Patreon and that kind of thing too, which is very cool. And sort of creating sets that people can print off at home. One of the cool things about this particular Kickstarter is, as you can see here, they're doing large sort of terrain pieces that you can put onto the tabletop. Because a lot of these are based so they could be used either as tiled sections on a larger board or effectively as gaming spaces in of themselves, because a lot of these actually tie directly into specific supplements that they do for Deep Wars and Shadow Sea that are based, like, this is a scenario that takes place within this throne room or something like that, which is pretty cool. They also, as you can see here, do pre-printed models, which is pretty awesome. So if you want to get some stuff ahead of time, sort of without all the faff of having, it's not a faff, without all the faff of doing 3D printing, you can do that as well, which is pretty cool. But the main sort of focus of what they're doing here is trying to create additional STL files for you to use and print off at home. And obviously, because it's 3D printing and that kind of thing, you'll be able to print off as many of these as you like for your particular games and however you want to use them. Either be it as part of actually playing Deep Wars or Shadow Sea, or using them in something like a role-playing game, doing sort of an alternative take on Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder and that kind of thing too, which is very cool. So yeah, a really sort of in-depth project looking at a lot more of their sculpting talent that they've been working on recently. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Right.
And also an assault crab. Who would not want one of those, right? Yeah.
We all need an assault crab. So there's 18 days left on the Rogues Gallery from Antimatter Games. It's funded. Definitely get stuck in there. Great little company, Antimatter Games, and Deep Wars is just a game I love to behold. Unfortunately, I have never ever had the chance to try it out.
We played it 1 year at Gen Con, and it was really fun. It's really different because it's all underwater. So you've got like large sharks and other sea creatures floating around on the board while you're sort of hopping over the surface. Well, not the surface, but the seabed and stuff. Yeah, it's very cool.
It's a game that I would love to try. Myself and Lloyd are avid collectors of aquarium plants. We have a local pet shop, and every few years they do a 3-for-2 offer on aquarium plants. So what we tend to do is we tend to stock up on all that aquarium stuff, and then we pack it away into the drawers at the visitor center, just waiting for the day that the next project, the next boot camp or whatever comes along, and we go whip out all of our aquarium plants and start to piece it all together. So we had a recent sale at the pet shop in the last couple of weeks, so we got another little box of aquarium plants just to tuck away and have them there for the next one. And I would love an opportunity to use those aquarium plants and start something in Deep Wars, because I just think I love the whole premise of it being underwater. I have some really cool bits and pieces I could use for that. I even have a cool light, Ben, right? It's a light with like a prism on the front of it, and there's a little rotatey thing in it, And if you put that above a table,
does it do like the light through the
caustic.
sea thing?
Yeah, it creates that kind of caustics effect of the ripple of light coming down. So, yeah.
So the next Kickstarter comes from Dream Realm Storytellers. And this is a new sort of settings book and also campaign books for you to use alongside fifth edition Dungeons and Dragons, or 5th edition rules. And it all has a little bit of a Norse setting. So this is Sviland, which is a brutal Norse Viking fantasy setting, which comes with a whole bunch of additional details to try and build on what you already get within 5th edition and give it that Viking flair. Within the book, the sort of campaign book, you're going to get new clash options. I turned into Sean Connery there, for use in your games. So building on things like the fighters and the barbarians and doing something different with those. You're also going to get new backgrounds, which are very much focused on the idea of kind of the weird and that kind of stuff that the Vikings were into, and their kind of obviously their religion and the Norse gods, which is pretty cool. You're also going to find a new selection of feats, which is pretty awesome. For those people that want to kind of tailor make their characters to fit very specific ideas of how they want to be very heroic on the tabletop. And there's also Viking themed magic items, a whole bunch of monsters, obviously taken from Norse mythology, and spells as well. One of the cool things on the spell front is they've included a whole section on rune magic in particular and how that kind of works together. So the casting of the runes and how that all sort of binds into you casting your spells and that kind of thing too. One of the other additional things they've done with this campaign is that they've created what's called the Warband Rules. So one of the things with D&D parties, as many people know, is that you often spend quite a lot of time together, and that doesn't necessarily have a mechanical benefit apart from you just sort of like knowing each other's characters. But they've included the Warband rules in the game, which will actually give you mechanical benefits from knowing each other and like knowing how each other fight, which is pretty awesome. So it's it'll add a little bit more of a sort of cohesive element to the way that you fight and you act and where you journey and that kind of thing too, as well as the sort of the source book, which sort of brings the world of Sviland to life. You've also got 2 campaign books. So there's South Sea, and there's also Into the Wolf's Maw, which give you 2 full adventures for you to play through and have a bit of a go at. There's also the free booklet download, which is available from DriveThruRPG for you to download and give it a go. It's got some sort of quick start stuff in there. So if you want to dive in and just have a go before you actually pledge for the campaign, and it's not a bad thing to go and check out. It's not bad if you've got a little bit of spare time on a weekend and your normal role playing group potentially isn't joining together for something. Go and grab something like this and give it a go, and you never know, you might find your next big sort of direction for your role playing adventures on the tabletop. One of the things they have been talking about in terms of the sort of stretch goals and the add-ons for what they're doing is that they're trying to make it so that a lot of what they're adding to the campaign book and the source book, is that sort of idea of making it more lavish. So a lot of the focus has been on upgrading the artwork, upgrading the amount of content within the books and that kind of thing too. So instead of just throwing lots and lots of different accessories at you and that kind of thing, kind of one of the influences they've got when it comes to the actual sort of background of the game itself is the idea that Hel, so the mistress of the underworld, is kind of like using her machinations and her sort of tendrils to reach out and use all these strange creatures to kind of bring death and destruction to the land to feed her legions. And so you're part of a group of heroes that are trying to stop her. So you've got that kind of really classic clash between mortals going up against gods, which is definitely something that features quite a lot in the Norse sagas. So it's pretty awesome to see.
Absolutely. Right. So, guys, that is Sviland, the Norse setting for 5th edition, Freya's Tears, A Grim Adventure by Dream Realm Storytellers. 27 days left, so plenty of time left on that one, guys. So if you fancy it, go and get stuck in. Right. That's your lot for this week, guys. Remember to join us on Sunday morning over on OnTableTop.com. Join the Cult of Games. Go on, join us. You know you want to join us. And we'll have the XLBS where we're going to chillax with our community, tell some, have a bit of fun, tell some funny stories, and show off some cool bits of hobby that we've been working on behind the scenes. Right. Thank you to the team. Most importantly, though, thank you to you guys. Have a great week of gaming. We'll see you soon.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.